Welcome to Ohio Searcher, your resource for metal detecting, river searching, bottle digging, and just general treasure hunting in the Cuyahoga River Valley. I look forward to sharing everything I learned in the last 6 years with you, and in the process, learning from you as well. So enjoy the content.
So this is what I'm looking for when I'm looking for marbles in the Cuyahoga River. Usually it'll just be a very little bit of it above the sediment, but it's unmistakable red, blue colors, yellow colors, easy to pick up with the naked eye. So let's go under and retrieve this. That's a really nice, beautiful marble. Looks like we got a Pond's bottle, Pond's Extra, perhaps. Yeah, usually don't find these little milk glasses embossed like this. Now, the fact that it is a screw top is that this is after 1900, but it's probably early. It's probably 1910s or somewhere around there. Okay, got a glass object. I could tell this is glass because when I drag my rake over it, it's very smooth. Unlike rocks, which give a different sound, that's why I use the 4-prong rake over grabbers. Nothing wrong with grabbers, I just feel this suits me better. So, go and get a closer look under here. And we'll go for a recovery. Not sure what this is, could be anything. Okay, it looks like an old wine. Regretful that the top is busted on it. This would be from 1900. You can see it has grapes all over it. That would have been a nice one. Probably 1920s if I had to guess. What a shame. We'll carry it up.
A few words on river safety. You should always have somebody with you. If you don't have somebody to bring with you, the next best thing is tell people where you're going to be. If your family has the ability to track you where you're going on your phone, that also helps out. Quicksand's also a major problem in the rivers. I always have my 4-prong rake out ahead of me, probing the bottom to make sure that I have a solid bottom to walk on. It could be misleading. There could be a little bit of gravel and you think it's good, but if you're not checking where you're walking first, you could go up to your hips or even more in quicksand. So have a look at the clip from today's search where I illustrate pushing the 4-prong rake about 2.5 feet straight down with little or no effort.
So I use my 4-prong rake as a probe to fill out the bottom of the river in front of me. This is why. There's about a over 2 foot drop right here that if you step on that, you're going to sink, and that could prove to be dangerous. So you really got to be careful and always come out with another person. Let people know where you're at is a good rule.
If you get tangled in fishing line, or you get your hip waders or some piece of equipment or a bag hung up on a tree branch, or you get tangled up with your foot underwater, you definitely need a knife to cut yourself free. So always have a knife with you. Always use caution when walking in and out of the river. There are slippery banks, there are things to trip on. If you're carrying a lot of glass in your bag, you don't want to break that and fall on it. You could get cut. So be careful. If you have any open sores, cuts, or abrasions, you might want to think twice about going in the river that day. The river is loaded with bacteria and you don't want to get any kind of infection or pick up anything bad, such as E. coli. You should always be aware that there are other creatures in the river, like snapping turtles and snakes. If you are looking ahead of where you're walking and you're probing out the ground, you should have no problem finding these obstacles, but be aware that they exist. Also, when you're walking into the river, through the woods or wherever you may be, ticks are another problem. So like the sunblock, like you get some sunblock on before you go, make sure you spray with some perhaps deep woods off to keep the ticks off you, avoid the Lyme. Again, I'd like to stress the importance when you're carrying your 4-prong rake, going up banks, walking in the river, or just back to your car, make sure the points are facing away from you. Here's some equipment you might want to have if you want to get into river searching. At left, first thing, a sun hat. There's no shade on the river, at least in the center of the river, so you want to get a hat that has a brim, and preferably if you could find one that has a neck shroud, that'll save you from getting sunburn. Which brings us to the next item. Make sure you have some sunblock. Have a durable, and I prefer the military surplus, they call this a pistol belt, to hold all your equipment on nice and firm. A dump pouch is good for bottles, although it has a limited capacity. You could also use this for metal detecting. A digging trowel, a Leatherman, and I like the saw blade feature on this. A pinpointer to decide if something's metal or not. And I think this might be the most important thing, really. Just have a blade with you. There's a lot of fishing line. A lot of the things that you have straps on them, like your hip waders if you're going to use that, or different bags and backpacks. When you're in the water, you definitely need to have the ability to cut yourself free if you come into any kind of problems. Now, if you're bottle searching, you're carrying bottles up and down slippery banks, if you fall, you might get cut. So I think that a tourniquet is a useful piece of equipment. If you put this in a pocket, just make sure that you can reach it with both hands and learn how to use this. There's a specific procedure for this. Here we have a small sifter and a large sifter, and really all the large sifter is a dishwashing rack for an industrial dishwasher. But you know, if you're scraping the banks down to the base clay, you could put your material in here and sift it out. A lot of guys use these for finding arrowheads and anything else that might be in the bank. Don't forget to have a pair of gloves. You could purchase these at a general store. I like the ones that have a rubberization on the fingers and the palm of the hand. It just offers an added layer of protection against sharp objects. If you want a bottle search but you don't want to get wet, you probably want to get a pair of hip waders. These ones here were on Amazon for about $38. They do the job well. I haven't had any leaks with them, and I used them all last summer. But of course, if something's a little deep and out of your reach, you're limited to be able to bend down if you have these on, because you don't want to take in water and weigh yourself down. The 4-prong rake is my go-to piece of equipment for bottle recovery or dump digging. There are other things out there such as grabbers. I just prefer the 4-prong rake. It extends my reach about 5.5 feet. If I'm wearing hip waders, I could use this 4-prong rake to get deep into the water to recover items that I can't bend down for, lest my hip waders get filled with water. I use the tips to tap and to scratch on surfaces. It's very easy to tell the difference between rocks, gravel, and a smooth glass jar or bottle. There are some dangers with this. It's 4 prongs with points on them, so when you carry a 4-prong rake, make sure that you have the points out. A basic mask and snorkel is also a must for river searching. Really, all you need to get started is a good pair of eyes and the motivation to get out there and just start. Anyone that can walk a bank and just scan for bottles, so get out there and do it.